Hey, what's up? This your boy Big Man. You already know what it is, man. So let's get right to it. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about this FBG Duck case. Now, it looks like most of the suspects have had their day in court as far as being arraigned in the execution style shooting of none other than the rapper FBG Duck, a Chicago drill legend, right? Now, on Friday, the fifth suspect in this case and an alleged O Block member was in court as well, man. And, you know, he got arraigned. He found out what his charges were. He found out about the whole indictment, but he knew this was coming. I mean, everybody knew it was coming. But what's wild is he kind of followed suit as everybody else, man. It seems like he pled not guilty and he was going to stick to what everybody else is doing. But we'll see how this played out in court in the story. Now, before we get to the specifics, though, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And, man, let's get it. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, man, let's talk about this situation that took place in court, man, with Kenny. Or I want to say his whole name is Kenneth Roberson, right? 27 years old, it says here. He was in front of the magistrate judge, Jeffrey Gilbert, and it ain't looking good. Now, for those of you who are late to the show or late to this situation or been living under a rock lately, O Block got raided, and O Block is a section of Chicago that's on the south side, and it's closely related to a lot of the big names in hip-hop, right? Closely related to Lil Durk, closely related to King Von. King Von even had an O Block chain that he used to wear. You know, he's from O Block. You know, these are their homies or whatnot. So it was a surprise when an indictment came down and you heard some people with some fairly noticeable names in drill rap get arrested, man. One of those being Muwop, you know, and some other guys, man. Well, it looks like this guy, Kenny, he is the fifth suspect to be going before the court. Now, in this story from the Chicago Tribune, the headline says this. It says, fifth suspect in slaying of Chicago rapper FBG Duck arraigned on federal racketeering charges. Now, for those of you who are wondering what all that means there is a RICO case against all these people who were indicted on this 11-page indictment that came down several weeks ago. And that's to include Muwop and the other guys that were mentioned previously. Now, there's been several videos on this, but man, you can do your catch-up work if you want to, but the story kind of lays it out there for you, man. Now, in this story, it says this. It says, a reputed member of the violent Southside gang faction pleaded not guilty Friday to federal racketeering charges, alleging he and four associates fatally shot rapper FBG Duck outside a Gold Coast clothing store last year. Now, the Gold Coast is supposed to be or is considered one of the nicest parts of Chicago, or if not the nicest part of Chicago. I mean, there was even a petition by the residents to raise up money to find out who the killers or the suspects in this situation were. But it's a really nice place, like akin to, say, like your Rodeo Drive in Los Angeles, you know, your downtown Manhattan in New York. I mean, like where people spend that money. So this came as a surprise when this went down. Now, the story continues by saying Kenneth Roberson, 27 years old, entered his plea during a telephone arraignment before U.S. Magistrate Judge Jeffrey Gilbert, who ordered him held in federal custody pending trial. He faces a mandatory minimum sentence of life in prison if convicted. Prosecutors could also opt to seek the death penalty. Now, this is where their case is different than a lot of the other cases in hip-hop. I mean, it's all out there. They got a minimum of life sentence, you know, a minimum life sentence if they're found guilty, with a maximum of the death penalty, which is crazy when you think about it, man. And so far, it looks like nobody has gotten bond, man. Everybody is in custody pending trial. Now, Robertson was one of the 5 alleged members of the Southside's O Block gang charged earlier this month with racketeering conspiracy, alleging they opened fire on FBG Duck, whose real name was Carlton Weekly, as he stood in a line outside a Gold Coast clothing store on August 4th, 2020. Now, Robinson, that's Kenny, his appearance in U.S. District Court was delayed because he was already being held in lieu of a bond at Cook County Jail on charges he shot a man in Dalton earlier this year, court records show. So they're saying that Kenny was already locked up for shooting somebody, allegedly shooting somebody, because I can't say that he did it for a fact, but you know what I'm saying. Allegedly shooting somebody in Dalton earlier this year, man. So they're putting it out there like, man, I don't know what the chances are for everybody else getting by him, But it sounds like when he got 2 shootings under his belt, man, it might not look too good, especially considering how these feds be playing with these cats, man. Now, it continues by saying also charged were Charles Liggins, 30 years old, TACARLOS OFFERD, 30 years old, Christopher Thomas, 23 years old, and Marcus Smart, 22 years old. And we know that Marcus Smart, that's Muwop. They pleaded not guilty after their arrest on October 14th and are being held without bond. So everybody's being held without bond. And I think they have them separated so they can't even communicate or anything like that, right? Now, even during 2020's elevated violence levels in the city, the slaying of Weekly, aka FBG Duck, stood out both because of his status as an entertainer and the boldness of the fatal attack, the story says. Now, police at the time described Weekly 26 as a member of the Gangster Disciples faction that was involved in a feud with the defendant's gang. So they're basically saying that FBG Duck was a member of one organization, and then Muwop and the rest of those cats, along with this fifth suspect, Kenny, was involved with another organization allegedly, and that's why they were at odds. Now, we've seen things play out on social media a lot, and, I won't use that in social media or what we see there and, a headline or whatever as a means to substantiate anything that we think we're seeing in those videos. But, man, those who know who've been watching this drill movement understand that there was some tension there and there was some beef, right? Now, on the day of the shooting, Chicago police said that pod cameras, plate readers, and other surveillance showed that a car recently purchased by Alfred, that's the guy who goes by the name Los, traveling to the first block of Oak Street, where 2 gunmen jumped out and opened fire as Weekly stood on the crowded street. Prosecutors have said other gunmen also emerged from a second trailing car. At least 38 shots were fired at Weekly, fatally wounding the rapper and also injuring 2 others before the car sped from the scene, according to the prosecutors. And basically, that's them detailing what we thought we saw the aftermath of in those photos. You know what I mean? And, somebody taking FBG Duck's life. Now, they still have to prove all this in court. They still have to prove that they got the car dead to rights, like they said in the story, and that they have Los buying the car. Because if you guys haven't been keeping up, the guy Los allegedly used his information to buy a car from a car dealership, and that same car was seen traveling to and from the shooting where FBG Duck lost his life. Now, that's the most fair way that I could break down what they say they have against Los, Muwop, and the rest of the guys from O Block there that are in this indictment, right? Now, the story ends by saying this. It says, within 2 hours of the shooting, Alfred, that's aka Los, returned the car at the unidentified dealership, which had found out he lied about his employment on the financing application, according to prosecutors. So basically, they're saying that according to prosecutors and the information they obtained from the unidentified dealership, that, Los used his own information to get the car and had lied on the information, and that's why he had to return it, and they asked for it back, and that's when, it was returned. So I can't say that it was used during the time that Los had it, but you see what's going on here, man. And even his attorney came out and said that you can't prove that even if you had all that information, not saying that they did, that he was in that car when it was traveling, you know what I mean? So it's a wild situation, and we're in the early stages of all this. Like, this is gonna play out in court for a while because there's serious consequences in the charges and the serious offense that's levied against these cats. So stay tuned for more updates. Now, with that, this has been your boy. Hold up, what do you guys think? Do you think that Kenny pleading not guilty is just him following suit, or they're just showing each other or showing that court that, hey man, they feel they are not guilty in this situation and they're going to commit to that unified front? Or do you feel like this is just how court plays out? You originally pleaded not guilty, just like Pooh Shiesty did, and then you try to get a deal or whatnot. It's just a court game, you know what I mean? Now, with that, this has been your boy Big Man. Do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace.